We completely failed at doing Patagonia, and man, oh man, were we humbled by this experience. Wow. So, did we fail?
Yeah, well, we may have, and Patagonia is a big deal for us. It is something that we've been planning for a long time, and this is right in line with the kinds of things that we love doing. Big hikes, beautiful areas, mountains, and Patagonia is classic. It's magical, a place to go in the world. To go for big hikes.
Yeah. I mean, I have been talking with Steve about Patagonia for years. I had already been here and I was like, Steve, we got to go. And so you kind of had an expectation about what Patagonia was.
I certainly did. Yeah. The big O trek is what I thought Patagonia was. I didn't realize it was such a huge area and there were so many places that you could do. But you think about the Patagonia logo, right? Of course, I'm wearing a Columbia shirt. Anyway,
I got Patagonia on right here.
But
actually, this is a vintage jacket, like a 1972 vintage jacket on the vintage Patagonia site. Anyway.
But we had real high expectations, and this is our story of if we were able to meet those expectations or not.
Yeah, and for all of you active seniors out there, this really is a story for you. We know all the 20-somethings are running up and down the hill in Patagonia, and there's hundreds of videos on YouTube of all the 20-somethings and all the time they spent in Patagonia, but not many from the active seniors that we are and our point of view. So we're going to tell you how we enjoyed Patagonia, give you some tips and tricks on where to go, and kind of share some humility with you a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So just for geographically, Patagonia is in South America. It covers both the country of Chile and the country of Argentina. It starts right around Calafate, a little bit north of Calafate, and goes all the way down to the tip of South America, down to Ushuaia. So we actually planned a 3-week trip, 3 different locations, 1 week in each location.
Right. So before we go on, I'm Steve. This is Chris. We're EatWalkLearn. We have been full-time travelers traveling around the globe for the last 4 years. Mm-hmm. And it was about time, being in the summer, winter, I don't even know what season this is. This is summertime for South America. This is a great opportunity to enjoy some great hiking.
And one caveat, this is not a 72-degree stop. We brag about being in 72 degrees. This is a one-off for us. We absolutely wanted to come to Patagonia to do the big hikes, hit Patagonia in its summertime when it's the best weather, which I think our high so far has been 50 degrees that we've been here, right between 30 and 50 degrees, 0 to 10 degrees for all of our Europeans, and a lot of wind. But this is the best time to be here, and that's why we came.
Yeah.
So first up, our goal was there were 4 or 5 big hikes, a couple on the Chile side and a couple on the Argentine side that we really wanted to do. We're not going to do the O and the W because we didn't want to through hike with packs and backpacks and tents and so on. We thought, you know what? We'll day hike all these really great hikes. We'll go from one location, hike a few times, and then go to another location and hike a few times. So that was our goal.
Right.
And we set out to do that. So the first place we went was El Calafate.
Yeah, El Calafate was a great stop. It's a nice little town, and it's a great place to kind of set yourself up for the big expectations. So there's not a lot of big hikes there, but there is an amazing glacier to go see. And that was kind of like our first entree into what does Patagonia have to offer. So we went out, we had some friends who joined us, and we went out to enjoy the glacier for a day and had a great time.
So we went to the Perito Moreno Glacier. You can take a bus or take a private car or taxi, whatever, to get there. We went there with our friends. It's a matter of fact, we got married on a glacier, which was fantastic. We actually walked on the glacier then. So we didn't feel like we needed to walk on the glacier this time. But the boardwalk to go up to the glacier, lots of stairs, but it's a boardwalk. It's a couple miles, and it gets you like this close to the glacier. It's the closest we had been to a glacier, and all the glaciers we've been to, with the exception of being on top of the glacier when we got married.
Yeah. It is a spectacular and definitely a must-do. And the hiking, if you will, was really walking along a lot of stairs going up and a lot of stairs going down, but generally had a paved or a boardwalk platform to be able to walk across, to be able to view the glacier. And it was about 3 miles of total.
Yeah, 2 to 3 miles, something like that.
Yeah, so it wasn't too strenuous, and you could do as much or as little as you want. We wound up doing all the trails up and down and in and out to get as much experience as we can, and it was a great day. Yeah.
Yeah, but what it did for us was got us really excited about actually getting up into the mountains and actually doing the big hikes. So we in El Calafate, we met up with some friends. We continued with those friends to El Chalten, Chalten, Chalten. And this is where, if you know the Patagonia logo with the mountain, we'll show you that. This is the mountain in the Patagonia logo is the Fitzroy mountain. And that's the big hike. So on the Argentine side of Patagonia, in El Chalten, there's 3 big hikes, and we were all gung-ho, ready to go. So we get there, and because you can't carry poles with you anymore unless you check your bag, so we had to go rent some poles. We rented some poles. We got to go with our friends. The next day after we arrived, we're like, we got good, strong legs. We're fit. We're ready. We're not tired. We're all relaxed.
Let's go.
Let's go. And off we went. What happened?
It was a long day. This was a 10-hour day of hiking.
So this is the Fitzroy hike, the Los Tres Lagos Fitzroy hike.
That's right. And I have to say, for me, it was quite humbling because I was okay going up. It was very, strenuous, beautiful views, amazing hike. But on the way back down, I started getting some pretty serious knee pain in my left knee, and it really hurt a lot as we were coming down. And of course,
honey.
I know.
I felt so bad for you.
It is the first time for me that I've had any kind of real, issues like that. And by the time we were about halfway down, 2/3 of the way down, I was going slower and slower, and I was starting to think like, hey, can I keep going? Can I do this? And it was.
It was humbling for you.
It was hard. It was hard. How about you?
Usually it's me with the knee problem, but I got the knee surgery. You can check out my knee surgery information up here. I didn't have knee problems, but I was working those poles like, a donkey in a cornfield, just working as hard as you possibly can and not getting very far. And I really had this realization, so it was a super technical hike. It was, 20 kilometers round trip. So, 12, 13 miles. It took us 10 hours. Our friends took them 8, and the 20 somethings that were running up and down past us, zipping, maybe that took them 6. But I really realized I used the poles more going down than going up. And I really realized that I am overusing these poles. If the poles were to break or to crack or I'd lose a pole or something, it would be a real challenge for me to get down the hill. I could, but I really thought this is a safety issue, because if I could have gotten, if I had to crawl on my butt or slide on my butt or whatever, I could have done it. But that's not a position I ever want to be in again, where I'm relying on my equipment. I'm doing something that's relying on my equipment. If the equipment failure happened, how that would be unsafe for me and the people that I was with. And I thought, this is not good.
Yeah, this is not good.
So we
did make it.
Yeah, we did make it, clearly. And we had a beautiful time and took great pictures. But then we had some dinner with our friends, and they were all talking about tomorrow we're going to go do the next hike. And we thought, you know what? Let's take a day off. Let's see how our bodies recover.
I needed some time to recover. And it turned out being that either one of us didn't do any other big hikes. We did some moderate hikes while we were still there. We went to there's a waterfall that you could do a hike to, which was fantastic. And then we went up onto the cliffs that overlooked El Chalten and the Mount Fitzroy from these cliffs, and that was fantastic. That was an amazing hike.
And so that the hike wasn't long. It was maybe this hike we're talking about now, maybe 5 miles round trip. There was some steep places. We didn't go with poles. We probably should have. But as we're sitting on the ledge overlooking the valley and up into Fitzroy, we're having this conversation about maybe technical hiking isn't for us anymore, and maybe we're starting to see our age, and maybe big hikes aren't our thing anymore. And as we're sitting there, this condor comes flies right past us at eye level, and we'll show you the video, and then lands over to the right of us. And we're looking at Fitzroy, and we're looking at the condor, and we're thinking, this is incredible. We didn't have to do the big hike to get the incredible view, and we were enjoying it much more. So that was the beginning of us thinking, maybe how we are doing Patagonia and how we're going to be hiking in the future is changing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we still have to go to Puerto Natales and to do more big hikes, because this is, again, the place where there's the O Trek and the W, and you can do some major through hiking. We had a lot of day hikes picked out. And what happened when we got there?
Yeah, so, off we went. We took the bus. So we stayed in Chalten for a week, and then we went down to Puerto Natales, Argentina for a week. And we took the bus to get there. And I think first we should kind of talk about the expectations. I mean, we had these expectations of ourselves that we are going to check off all these big hikes. We're going to report it back to you guys because you had the expectation of us that we're going to do these big hikes and we're going to share all this stuff with you. I mean, I have this, I've authored many hiking books. I had a hiking website. I've got this reputation as a hiker. Our brand is EatWalkLearn. It's like we really we're struggling with expectations of our own and of our audience. So when we got to Argentina, we had some friends with us, which was fabulous. Chile. I mean, it's with Chile, sorry. And we had some friends with us, and we're like, there's two big hikes we want to do. And one was up to Torres del Paine, and the other was to the Cuernos. So we thought, we got these two big hikes to do. But our friends were like, you know what? We're here for a week. We've got a car. Why don't we drive through the park first and get a lay of the land? So
yeah, and I think that was a great idea. I actually did the logistics for that and figured out, based on what some of the other tour companies, where they were taking people to in the park, and then building some moderate, hikes around that, and then going to some other places that don't usually get visited as much from the tour companies. So I knew that they wouldn't be there wouldn't be as many people there.
Yeah, so you looked at All Trails and you saw some suggestions on All Trails, the app. Mm-hmm.
So we started off at Laguna Azul, which was our first stop. Mm-hmm. And our first, oh my God, this place is magnificent. It's jaw-dropping. And we did a nice little hike there to just kind of get warmed up a little bit. It was still pretty early in the morning. And then we drove to the Mirador Cascada Paine, which is a nice waterfall, which was, again, an amazing spot. We did a short hike there. And
these short hikes are maybe river. 1 or 2 miles, no big deal, like little warm-up hikes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then we scooted over to the Salto Grande hike. So this is someplace I had been before. And when I was there, you could just walk it was like you walked from the parking lot to the waterfall, looked at the waterfall and said, ooh, ah, and then left. Well, that wasn't the case now. So there was some construction going on, and you had to hike into the waterfall, which was about a mile or so with 40-mile-per-hour winds. And then beyond that, you could hike and get views of the horns and of the towers. So we continued on for another, 2 miles or something, and ended up with a reasonable, moderate hike. Didn't need our poles. I had dressed with our wind jackets on and whatever. Yeah. Had this unbelievable time looking at these incredible views. And then, this Huanaco. So Huanaco is the camel of South America. So it looks kind of like a llama. It comes bounding by and poses perfectly right with the mountains. And we're like, oh, thank you very much, Disney, for your animatronics. As we take these beautiful pictures and have this incredible day. So we do that hike, and then we do one more. We go to the Mirador Lago Grey, another couple, 1 or 2 mile hike.
Yeah.
Another gorgeous time. Oh,
that was actually further.
Yeah, because we went up to you walked up to the glacier.
Yeah. There was one point, though, that we were walking along and the wind was coming at our face, and we were really in an exposed area, and the wind just got so strong that the four of us, and hi, Sarah and Jimmy, who were with us, the four of us, we had to stop because we couldn't even move. The wind was so strong, and we just busted out laughing. It was just so much fun to just to be like the Mother Nature saying, "You're not going anywhere."
I remember seeing this seagull who's flapping as hard as she can, and she's not going forward, and she's looking at me like, "Why am I going forward?" She just kept on going backwards, and she's flapping as hard as she can. That was what it was like. But it was the view. There was icebergs, and there was a glacier, and this beautiful lake, and you and Jimmy went out to the edge of the lake to go and take some pictures and stuff. So that was really beautiful. So anyway, so we finished this day of driving around. Oh, we forgot. We stopped at the trailhead for the Torres del Paine. Trailhead.
And we saw all of the kids with their packs, and some of them actually were going out. Probably many of them were going out for the multi-day.
The W
trek,
or the O.
We were just looking at it just to get our bearings for. We're going to be coming back the next day, and this is going to be again our 20-25 kilometer hike up to the mountain and back. It was going to be a big day. We're kind of getting ourselves psyched up for that because this is it. And whatever.
And okay, so we finish the day and we get back we get back in the car and we're all talking about the hike the next day. And what we realized was so we're with Jimmy and Sarah who are younger than us, and they're like, you know what? We don't need to do it. And Jimmy had this really, really great advice because we had been driving in the car all day talking about, and they had been in Calafate with us, or in Chalten with us as well. And Jimmy was talking about, if you're a 100-watt bulb, when you're 100%, you're brilliant at 100 watt. He says, but you can be a 75-watt bulb and be brilliant at 100% as well, but you're 75 watts. He says, in both places you're working just as hard and you're 100%, but one you're a 100-watt bulb and the other you're a 75-watt bulb. And I was like, you know what? I'm a 75-watt bulb now. But it was a really, really big eye-opener of you can enjoy things without having to overextend yourself in order to enjoy it. And I shared with the group that whenever I'm hiking, especially when we were at Fitzroy, and I'm using my poles, and we're doing this really technical hike, I'm thinking, my whole brain is about where my next foot's going, where my next pole is placed, where my next foot is going, where my next pole is placed. What are my evacuation procedures? What if I fall? What if they, how do I communicate with the emergency? How do I get evacuated off? Or how do I get Steve evacuated off? Or whatever. This is what's going through my mind is when I'm doing these big technical hikes, and I'm not enjoying the scenery. And what I shared with Jimmy and Sarah from our drive was that I took some really amazing photos and really enjoyed seeing what we were there for, because I didn't have to be constantly thinking about where my feet were going or where my poles were going or if my knees were stabilized or whatever. And it was such an eye-opener to wisdom or age, or I don't know what my grandmother would call it, but I feel like I'm talking like my grandmother now, and just understanding the limitations of my body for me as I'm getting older and what's joyful for me.
Yeah.
How about for you, honey?
Well, for me, it's only had been a week since I had all of that knee pain coming down the mountain, the first time, and I did not want to experience that again. And I really didn't feel. I feel good now, but at the time, I felt like I wasn't at 100%, and I didn't want to let myself down, and I didn't want to let my fellow hikers down by getting halfway up and not being able to go any further. So. It was, again, it was a moment for me saying to myself, I really don't think I can do this. And this is, I'm just going to have to, pass. This is not going to be, this is not going to be a hike that I'm going to be able to do. And let's take care of myself. Let's take care of my knee and get that. And thank God I'm, really feeling good, and I haven't had any pain. So I think that was just a one-time incident of just pushing myself a little bit too far.
Hopefully.
We'll see.
Hopefully.
But I feel great about the whole experience that we had.
Well, I want to call out that Latrice and Brian were with us hiking, and Sarah and Jimmy were with us hiking. And we know 100% that at any time hiking with them, if we would have said, call uncle or whatever, they would have totally supported us and we all would have left together. There would have been a no one left behind scenario and we all would have enjoyed it. And so the expectations we put on our friends, forcing us to go up the hill or whatever, we're not at all trying to say that. We absolutely were trekking as teams and as friendships and absolutely supported everybody's ability to be able to do the trails at any time. Right.
Yeah. So, but the message for me or from me is that, can you enjoy Patagonia, at a certain age or a certain ability? And the answer is absolutely yes. This is an amazing place. You've got to come. Do you have to do the 10-hour hikes up to the top of the mountain and back? No, you don't have to do those to enjoy this to its fullest ability and enjoy. So
yeah. Patagonia, you don't have to do the O, you don't have to do the W, you don't have to do any of the big hikes in order to enjoy the beauty. So Patagonia is a place for everyone, not just for 20-somethings, for the 50-somethings and the 60-somethings and the 70-somethings that we know you are. And, sign up for Patagonia. But one thing I will say, we had a week in Calafate, a week in Chalten, and a week in Puerto Natales because we wanted to accommodate for the weather. Ultimately, I think you could do 3 or 4 days in each location as day hikes and get everything done and accommodate for the weather and not have to do a week in each location.
Yeah, it was really luxurious, really, for us to be able to spend our time and pick the right days for the right hikes and be able to pick and choose what weather that we wanted to go out in, because it does change quite a bit. But I'll agree with you that, we did 3 weeks.
Wait, you're agreeing?
I'm agreeing with you. It didn't necessarily need 3 weeks, but we've got the luxury that we could do it in 3 weeks.
Slow travel for the win.
Yeah, and it was great.
So if you have any questions about the particular hikes or particular locations, just put them in our comments below. We're glad to share any details with you. Go to Patagonia, have a great time. Chile side is cheaper than the Argentina side. The Chile money is cheaper than the Argentina side. If you have any questions about spending time in Argentina, watch this video here from when we spent our time in Buenos Aires. And we will talk with you next week. See you soon.